Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, John the Big Tex Johnson. I'm going to go through the results of I think it's week 9. I actually went 8-5. Should have did better. Some teams just definitely let me down. I mean, you just don't know who's going to show up. Uh, Teams you figure they're going to get it together, and that they fool you pretty much every week. I'm gonna start off with Buffalo Bills in New York. Just actually picked the Bills because I thought, okay, the Bills, they're on their way. You know, they're on their way. They actually Tyrod Taylor actually played good. Actually played a good game. Like I said, I think he's up and coming. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback and whatnot. They didn't get really any production out of Shady. As soon as I think he's getting ready to get back to his form, he sits up and goes, what he's like 12 rushes for like 25 yards. That really ain't going to get it done. But Tyrod Taylor doesn't need to be throwing the ball 40 times a game. Even though he had 2 touchdowns, he had no picks or anything like that under pressure. Uh, Josh McCown, 14, 20, 140 yards, 1 touchdown passing and 1 touchdown rushing, and they got 77 yards and 2 touchdowns for Matt Forte. Like I said, uh, they're both pretty good teams, actually, and I said this before. But with Buffalo, you think they're going, okay, Buffalo's getting ready to take it to that next level after that win last week that they had. And that just wasn't the case. And they end up laying an egg. Like I said, sometimes I think these guys start, reading a little bit too many of those press clippings, and you should be up over that by that particular time. Cincinnati Bengals and Jaguars, same thing with that. Pick the Bengals, figure the Bengals going to get it together. Bengals is never going to get anything together. I think it's just about time for Marv Lewis to be able to, he has to go if that franchise is going to go anywhere. Uh, you had Jacksonville, who I said earlier in the year at the beginning. I said I think they had some talent on that team, and they're sitting at 5-3 right now. But right now the surprise, and they're playing good, and they're playing good ball. Blake Bortles had a good game, and again, here's somebody with a big arm and all of this stuff, size and the whole 9 yards. 24, 38, 259 yards and 1 touchdown, no turnovers or anything. They played solid football. They missed, of course, Fournette wasn't there, but uh, they still got uh, 20 carries for 70 yards from out of Chris Ivory, and 11 carries, 41 yards for T.J. Yeldon. So they supplemented basically at what is that, 111 yards between the two of them, and hopefully Fournette to get it together and stuff like that. He'll be that feature back like he's supposed to be and help this team win instead of doing foolishness, um, breaking team rules and stuff. This is a business, and this is your livelihood. 5-3, like I said, Bengals not really much to talk about with the Bengals at all. It's the same thing with them pretty much every year. And I picked them for I figured they was going to get on a roll and go ahead on and take care of Jaguars, but the Jaguars I think are really for real. A couple more games. I mean, I think they're for real. Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans. I actually picked the Texans in this game. Now, I picked them because I didn't know that Deshaun Watson had pulled his MCL, ACL, whatever that was that he pulled, is going to be out for the rest of the season. Because I picked all my picks basically on a Thursday, and then I didn't find out until late Friday that this guy was going to be out for the rest of the season. And I could have came back and we switched the picks, but I didn't. I said I'm gonna stick with them and they still had an opportunity to win on the 4 yard line, and was down there. It was a pass interference call that was not called that would have made the major difference in this game, and Houston would actually won. I'm really impressed, and I've said this time and time again. I'm really impressed uh, with Brissett. I'm really impressed with this guy. He goes Jacoby. He goes 20 for 30, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 3 times. He didn't throw any picks. I had some pressure put on him and everything. They got some decent yards from Frank Gore, 17 catches, 51 yards. Again, like I said, uh, I don't know because the Ursays are nutcases in my opinion. Going back to the old man and now going back to his son who's an old man now and saying the things about Andrew Luck and whatnot. And it's probably who knows what's going to go on with that situation. But Brissett, which probably he can quarterback somewhere in this league. The kid can play quarterback. he definitely can play quarterback. And I figured, what I'm saying, we'll see what happens with him. But they beat the they beat the Texans, and like I said, Texans had a chance with Savage there down at the 3 or 4 yard line. Again, it was a call that wasn't made that should have been made on it was on DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, on DeAndre Hopkins, and he should have that should have been called out to put them at the foot yard line. They should have won that game, but and it is what it is. Uh, Next game we got here, who we have? Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. You had this whole thing. Cam again doing what he's doing. Like I said, Carolina 20-17 wasn't a pretty win, but they won. And sometimes I don't think I think in this league it's all about it comes down to winning. So I don't care if Cam did this or Cam did that. Well, long as they're winning, and he accounted for over 100 and I think 37 yards over 137 yards passing, no touchdowns as far as passing concerned, and 86 yards rushing. He was the team's leading rusher. He's the leading rusher in the game. So, he accounted for almost right at 200 and some odd yards of total offense and a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey had 15 carries. I think they said for 66 yards or 12 carries, 60 yards, something like that. And he finally got a touchdown. He's not the answer. Jonathan Stewart fumbled the ball quite a few times from what I saw. He had two fumbles. He had fumbled. He had two fumbles. It was two fumbles, and he lost both of them. That's not good. Which is why I think McCaffrey started getting the bulk of the carries and whatnot. Their defense played good. Uh, the whole thing with Matt Ryan, I guess Matt Ryan played good, more or less. He had two touchdowns, one pick, and he was sacked twice. Not really much going on in their running game. And like I said, Atlanta is so ironic that both of these teams are playing, and these are the two losers of the last two Super Bowl and the two reigning MVPs, offensive players of the year, as well as All Pro quarterbacks of that year and stuff like that. So you have that situation that going on with these guys there. So but Carolina, I still think Carolina is a force to be reckoned with because of the defense, and Cam is still dynamic as they come. He's going to do what he has to do to win and whatnot, but they need to get a running game together and take some of that pressure up off of him. Denver Broncos and Philadelphia. I mean, what's to say? They Denver has Brock Osweiler back, and that's enough said. Philadelphia's for real on both sides of the ball. Uh, that's all there is to it. Both sides of the ball, they're playing some of the best ball on both sides of the ball. With Wentz, and they got and they went and got who did they get? Uh, J J J from so funny from Miami, 8 carries, 77 yards, 46-yard long before a touchdown. They're playing ball. They're playing ball. Not much to say. Denver's pretty much done in my book. Denver's done until they finally figure out what they're going to do at quarterback and at running back. They're going to be scratching their heads, and they're probably not going to do anything in the playoffs whatsoever. Um, Baltimore Ravens. I picked the Ravens. Ravens had an opportunity to win that game. Mistakes, as always, with them. Like I said, again, you just don't know what you're going to get from the Ravens from week to week. You just don't know. Mariota looking good. They're 5-3. He's back from that hamstring. Mariota is another dynamic quarterback that run the RPOs as they call it. He has an arm. And he's fast. He's and everything. So like I said, Flacco 261, two touchdowns, 2 inch, got sacked twice. Not really Alex Collins. They should have used him a little bit more. They were stuffing him at first, but he did have some pretty good runs. And like I said, so you didn't have a lot going on because you're not really run on Baltimore like that. Not really much going on. However, Mariota was dynamic, and their defense with of course the Titans defense was like I said, watch out for the Titans as well. Another young up and coming club. Rams, the Rams and the Giants. I mean, the Giants are finished. The Giants are completely finished. Those guys quit. Saw some of those highlights. Uh, these guys are for real too. Them and Philadelphia kind of remind me of each other, basically because both of those quarterbacks went high and they really didn't do anything last year whatsoever for the most part. I mean, Wentz started out fast and stuff like that. Um, Goff never really got anything done, but he was dynamic. 14 to 22, 311 yards, 4 touchdowns, not a pick, not even sacked. They, Gurley, 2 touchdowns rushing, a little something, 2 receptions for 45 yards, and they're solid. They're solid on both sides of the ball, and the Rams are for real. The really no surprise because they had talent. They just unfortunately was coached by that Jeff Fisher, who probably the most overrated coach I've ever seen in my life. Tampa Bay and New Orleans, I'm about tired of the Buccaneers, and you thinking they're going to do something this year. I think they won their first 2 games, I believe, and then they're just falling apart. Uh, Constant pressure on Winston, then he's hurt. Basically, his shoulder's not right. The Saints are playing ball. They got some defense, not everything on Breeze, which they can't have him because he's getting up in age. Kamara is playing ball. Breeze, but the thing that I don't like about between Kamara and Breeze, like Kamara, he's still a rookie. Uh, and Ingram, I meant to say Ingram. These guys are fumbling the ball, and they're fumbling the ball right now, but they're playing good. But when they start getting the better and better teams, get going on to the season, they cannot continue to fumble these footballs. I think that's a lot what's going on with them guys. They're fumbling a lot of balls, and you cannot do that in key situations when you're getting ready to possibly go into the playoffs. You're 6-2, and when you're going into the playoffs and everything, you cannot have fumbleitis going on and everything. And I've seen that's been happening a lot. Uh, that's been happening a lot with them and whatnot. Over the past couple of weeks with Ingram and then Kamara, he lost a fumble, but again, dynamic. The defense is playing, and Saints are something to watch. Kind of a surprise to me, but hey, they got it together and everything. Uh, you got who else we got over here? Who's the next? And of course, I picked picked the Saints obviously on that one. Tampa's just in trouble. They need to get something going on with them. Arizona, San Francisco, not a whole lot. Adrian Peterson rushed for 159 yards. I think Peterson ran the ball like 35, 36 times or something to that effect. They just pretty much ran the ball. Uh, kind of figured they was going to win. If they caught it, Stanton played pretty solid. He was okay or whatever. Water pistol for an arm. But 37 carries, 159 yards. He didn't score. Peterson didn't score a number. Like I said, he grinded out, and we'll see what happens with them. I don't think. I still think they need to get a serious quarterback in there at 4-4. I don't know if they're going to be able to do anything with Drew Stanton back there. That's just my humble opinion. Washington Redskins, Seahawks. What can you say about this? Seahawks had a ton of penalties. They left 11 points on the field, 9 from the kicker who missed 3 field goals. Then when they scored the last touchdown, went for 2. The ball goes right through the receiver's hands. Then the defense has a breakdown and all of a sudden Kirk Cousins is ice water in his veins. Now he's this type of quarterback. Now I'm just like, people are really trying to push this kid. I don't know why. I guess because they figure with the money, I've said you're making that kind of money, you're supposed to be doing a lot more than what you're doing. That was you could say that was people want to say that's a signature win for him. But me, it's not so much the Skins defense. I've been saying all year, the defense looks as good as they've ever looked in my opinion. Even when they had RG3, when they went 9-6 or 10-6 or whatever they went, they look very good on defense. And that's impressive to me because you got to have a defense. And they was really aggressive. They got after Wilson a lot. Wilson didn't have time, but he's a magician. Wilson still brought them back. And I don't know, their Seattle's defense is not what it used to be. And let them down. But at the same time, their offense let them down. Their kicker, 3 field goals missed. And that was the difference of the game. They ended up losing by 3 points. If they make these field goals, they win this game easily. And they win this game by at least a touchdown because it was a really good game, really good defensive game and whatnot. Not nothing really majorly going on because Cousins with 21, 31, 247 yards. He was sacked 6 times. So the defense in Seattle, it played, but it's not no cohesiveness in the secondary, in my opinion. Uh, they didn't run much, didn't have anything really going on. Again, Russell Wilson, 24, 45, 297, 2 touchdowns. He was intercepted twice, sacked twice. He was pressured all day long. He ran the ball for 10 carries for 77 yards. And they, like I said, should have won the game, but you know the saying, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Uh, Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys. Of course, I picked the Pokes. Pokes did what they supposed to have done. Ezekiel Elliott ran the ball pretty good. Chiefs are stacked to try to beat them again. These teams are stacking against Dallas and saying, you're going to have to beat us, Dak, Dak Prescott. And Dak is a winner. He's showing you that he's a winner. This game Dallas should have scored for the fourth time in a row, I believe, 30 some odd points. They left a few points on the field. Dak went 21 to 33, 20 to 49. 2 touchdowns. He was sacked once. A little pressure on him here and there. Zeke, 27 carries, 93 yards, a touchdown. Dak also had a rushing touchdown. And like I said, and threw 2 touchdowns. Dak is having a very productive, a very good season under the radar and whatnot. And I think that's probably where you want to keep it. And that's fine. And that's what they're doing. Alex Smith, so. But like I said, Dallas defense is starting to look like they're kind of on the nasty side. It's going to be a nice test going against Atlanta. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with them. Oakland Raiders and Miami picked the Raiders. Who finally gave me I picked on them and stuff like that. They win. They beat Miami. I don't know what's going on with Miami. The Raiders, Marshawn Lynch actually finally showed up and actually earned his check, in my opinion. And they, Raiders, we'll see what happens. They're going to have to win out, in my opinion. There's really nothing else to say about them. They're going to have to win out. Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers picked Detroit Lions, obviously because Aaron Rodgers is not there. Matthew Stafford he looked okay, more or less. He did what he had to do. He basically, in my opinion, like I said, Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback, not worth that amount of money, but if you want to put that type of stock in him, that's fine. He went 26 to 33 for 361 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really good as a QBR, 132.4. So it's like he did his job. Amir Abdullah, 2 touches on that. They kind of shut the thing down. Theo Reddick is definitely a threat coming out of the backfield. Not much to say about Green Bay is that if they don't get something going on, their season is going to definitely be lost. And that's why I pretty much that's why I have Minnesota picked to pretty much win that division. Who will be playing, I believe, Washington coming up this week here and week 10 and everything. So that's what happened. That's how I felt about this week. Like I said, went 8-5, not bad. Should have been better. Like I said, a couple of these teams let me down. I'll be back tomorrow. To sit up there and some other things I want to discuss and have my picks for tomorrow and everything. So, guys, have a good one. Check out my Twitter page. Check out my YouTube page, and we go from there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.